everyone, it's me, KatieBeth again, and today, the Bernie Sanders gloves, that's what we're working on today. I know I'm killer late with getting a video out on these, but it's taken me about a month to figure out how to do anything resembling the gloves, the mittens, and this is about as close as I got, but I'm actually pretty happy with it. I'll put the picture of the examples I was using of the actual Bernie here. So I'm going to kind of do a quick tutorial on these real quick. So I haven't quite learned how to knit yet. I learned when I was younger and then I just haven't done it, so I've really quite forgotten how to do it, but I'm going to learn again. I just didn't feel like it for this project, so I figured out that I still needed to use a crochet stitch that looked like knitting to get this done, which I feel like I did a pretty good job on. So first in the video, I'm going to show you how I was able to get this knit looking stitch. However, I couldn't quite get it to go all the way around. One, because my needle wasn't long enough, hook wasn't long enough, and two, just because all of the extra threads, having to carry those all the way around, is super irritating. So I just did a front half, a back half, and then a thumb piece. And then I sewed them all together. And then for the cuff, I really just did a basic crochet stitch around and then subtracted some stitches from the side so that it would start to come in and not go out like crochet tends to do. The knitting stitches made everything a lot tighter, but regular crochet stitches make things looser. So that's why I subtracted stitches more. So it'd be a little tighter for the glove part. What's that called? Sleeve, cuff, versus going bigger, which would just be weird. Before we get into it, I'll show you some of the other ones that I made. So in trying to create these, I made a few other iterations. So this one, I just did a regular crochet stitch for the thumb. Not quite what I wanted. Also, it's a lot tighter and smaller because I used a smaller crochet hook. So these ones are a lot smaller. Also, I was still figuring out the pattern, so that's why the tops are so vastly different. So see these two completely different sized gloves? It's the exact same amount of stitches, just using a different crochet hook. So this is an M that I used to get this bigger medium to large size. And then it was a normal K size that I used that gave this like small, extra small glove mitten. So you can, to adjust sizes, add more stitches if you're just using the same type of crochet hook. Or an easier way, which I went ahead and did, I just got a bigger crochet hook. So same glove, bigger size, just by changing the hook. So before we get into the actual stitches and how to do that, I'm just showing you how I made my patterns. I've been researching a lot of patterns lately, and turns out I learn a lot better with pictures of things versus wording of things. Wording patterns, like pattern books that are just like S2, blah, 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 and like all the different stitches, I just really don't get. But when I was able to pattern out what I wanted, it just made a lot more sense, and I could just count each stitch when I was working on it. So I don't even have all of my pattern iterations here, but I went through quite a lot, like making notes on what I needed to cut out. And some I just completely guessed. This was the original thumb, how I thought I would need to do it. But when I was actually stitching it, it was already ginormous to here, so I just cut it off here. Took that part off, and now this is my new thumb pattern, which I used on these guys. Okay, so to show you how to do this stitch, it's knitting but with a crochet hook. So you're just going to do the basic little loop. And you're just going to start it like a crochet project. So you got your little loop, make your chain, 1, 2, still 2, 3, 4, 5, let's go with 10, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now this is where you're going to start casting it on for the knitting part. So we have this little chain going, and just flip it around, and you're going to crochet into these bumps. So you want these little bumps here. So you go into the bump and you pull your string through, and you're going to leave it on there. So this is casting the stitches on here. So 1, 2, and that's your original one. You didn't even need to make one because that's still on your hook. So we're going to go in for a 3, and you just keep going into these bumps. I pulled it a little tight there, so I think it's still this guy. I seem to have lost the bumps I was going into. So I'm just going to turn it over and use the bumps on the back. Not sure if that's the correct way to do it. It's just what I'm going to do. This bump's being a little harder to get into. Let's see what we got here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10. And now we're going to get this string all the way back over here. So basically, this is what I count as 1 stitch, and then going back is just a getting back stitch, which doesn't really do too much. So for the first one, you're just going to crochet in the 1, but then the next one, you're going to take 2 loops. And then this last one is just the 1 again. And now we do it all over again, but instead of those bumps at the bottom, you're going in between these. Each one of these is going to be one of your stitches. So you're going to kind of make it flat on your finger, and you're going to go behind the first string and under the second string, pull through, and now that's your loop. So now I realize that was a real shoddy angle view to view this from. So I'm going to show you a few different angles here, I guess. One with pictures and then one with trying to stitch it again. Okay, so here's a picture that shows the different stitches. And each little group has 2 stitches on the bottom that you stitch through. So the purple will be thread 1 and the teal will be thread 2. And you're going to go under the purple and over the teal and then pull your yarn through. Again, the purples are string 1 and the teal is string 2. And you just go under the purple, over the teal, and pull your yarn through. So under the purple, over the teal, and then pull your yarn through. Now with this angle, I'm going to be adding a second color on. So under the first string, over the second one, pulled my string through, and it is a different color because I'm on the part where I'm adding different colors in. Now I'm going back to white for this pattern, and I'm kind of twisting it in to get the other yarn things twisted back. So as I crochet along, it'll be pulling the thread with me. And if you can entirely do it with each step, it ends up looking like this, a little awkward. I tend to forget to tie them with each stitch in the back, so I tend to get that weird look. But it's on the inside of the mitten, so you don't really see it. And I do end up fiddling along with the different strings quite a bit. So this pattern here that I'm doing, it looks like 3 white and then 1 of the gray. So under, over, and then I'm going to pull the gray through. And then 3 more white. So 1. So I'm going behind the first string, over the second one, and then pulling the white through. And behind the first string, over the second one, and pulling white through again. I'm trying to twist the strings behind so they all kind of sew along with me. So behind, in front of, and now I'm going to go with the gray color again. So behind the first one, in front of the second string, and then I'm pulling white through again. And behind the first string, in front of the next one, and then pulling the white string through. Then behind the first string, over the second one, and pulling white through again. And again, I'm twisting the strings in the back to make them all come along, but still hidden in the back. Just trying to figure out which white string it is there. And I'm trying to figure out how to twist the strings so that they all are together. Oh, looks like I'm not using white, I'm using gray. And behind the first string, in front of the other one, and then pull the color you want through. And this is kind of why it took me over a month to do these mittens. 1, because I was learning, and 2, it just takes a really long time to get this done. So all this time I've been talking, we've been doing 1 row. So pull the white through. And I want to keep going until the end of the row so I can show you how to go back the other way. So behind the first string, over the second string, and pull through the color that I need. Behind the first string, over the second one, and pull the color that I need through. Behind the first string, over the second one, and pull the color that I need through. And now this last part's kind of weird because you can go behind the first string, but you can't really go through the second string, so I'm just kind of pushing it through 2 of them. Yeah, just kind of weird. And now I'm going to count all my stitches to make sure I have the right amount. And also when you have a pattern going, it's a little easier to see just because you can see that the pattern's right. And I have the right amount still. And as you can see, I wasn't the best at making sure to tuck the stitches behind correctly, but I got them tacked enough that they'll stay. And this kind of bunches so you won't really see it too much. And it's the inside of the mitten, so it's not a big deal. So now just doing that 1 and then going for 2. So the 1 and then, so the first stitch is just that 1 and then all the rest are 2 until you get to the other end and it's just another 1. So you take your threads and you go through 2 loops. So I got kind of stuck on that one. Going through 2 loops. And it actually will look like 3 loops kind of, just because I have the 2 yarns that I'm bringing back and not just the one. So the stitch coming back that we're doing now is pretty much just bringing all the yarn back and making the next loops that we're going to go through pretty much. But this stitch back is just bringing all of the yarn back so we can start the next row over again. So now we're at the end and we're just going to go through the one. And I also picked which color I was going to start with next, which is white. And so I kind of dropped the gray out a little. Not a little, I did. And so this is what we have. And that's kind of just how you do this stitch over and over again, following the pattern. And this is what it came out with the tinier hook. And over on the thumb, I had to make some extra loops just to continue over the thumb since part of it was blank. Also, if you're wondering why I have all these clips on it, it's because it curls up massively if I don't put the clips on. So the clips just kind of keep it down out of the way. As you can see on the green here and the brown one, they just curl right up, and it's hard to keep them out of your way if they're not pinned down. These two I have pinned out flat. After I was done, I put the 2 sides together to make sure they fit. They fit pretty well. This is me just making sure that they fit before I sewed them together. But before you sew them together, make sure you turn them inside out. I messed up one side once, and it was really hard to take apart. Here's something else I wanted to point out to you. I wanted to show you with the 2 different needles, 2 different size hooks. It's the same amount of stitches, but about 1 inch different in size of a pattern it's going to make just from the needle size, hook size. Also, the black that was just black ended up expanding a lot more than when I used the different colors. The different colors, as you can see, are tighter woven, and then the black just like mushrooms out. So you can see the black part's a lot thicker. So I ended up subtracting one of the rows on the black just to make it smaller to fit the other side of the glove a little better. The next thing I wanted to talk about is the cuff. Because it curls up, as you can see on the left here, it's curling up a bit. And so I wanted to do the brown cuff like he kind of has in the gloved picture. And also doing the cuff helps keep that roll down a little. So for the cuff, I did a few different things, but the one I ended up sticking with is just doing a normal crochet hook stitch around, just a single crochet all the way around. And I did kind of subtract some stitches from the sides to bring it in a little. And the size of the mitten ended up being about 5 inches by about 10 inches. And here's some finished product pictures of the mittens. Some thumbs up. That's not me, just so you're not like, wow, that looks weird. You got a tattoo on hairy arms. And here's just a few more glances if you wanted to see how this pattern's going to turn out if you follow it. And again, more pictures of the pattern will be at the end of this video. So once I had the 2 sides made and the thumbs, I just sewed everything together. So I know my brain works in really weird ways, and I'm not sure if all of that made sense. I hope it did. Hopefully the patterns that I've included in this video will help you out a little more than just listening to me. I know I'm a bad listener and doer. I have to see it and do it kind of person. Hopefully the patterns I'm putting at the end of the video here will help you out a little more. But thanks for being here with me, everyone, and seeing my trials on making these Bernie Sanders gloves. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much. And if not, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button down at the bottom. And again, thanks for being here, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.